Hey everyone, welcome back to the fourth episode of this podcast that we've been doing. Today's going to be a little different of a podcast because get the pleasure of bringing on my mom, which is not something you probably usually get to do on a podcast, but figured it was really good and something everyone should hear. She's had her license for a little less than 2 years, dragged her into this actually, forced her to get her license. She has sold, I don't know how many homes now. Do you know how many homes exactly?
It's close to 40.
So I think it's over 40.
It might even be 44, more than 40. I don't even know.
I think it's more than 40 in her first 2 years. This year she's been pacing five-ish closed a month is what it seems like she's realistically pacing for. I think she has 9 or 10 in escrow currently. And one of the coolest things is she's really done a lot of this by using social media and tapping into her existing network. And she's obviously used a lot of what we've taught her along the way, but she's completely carved her own path and done something really cool that I haven't even personally done myself. So want to obviously introduce you. You could talk a little bit about who you are, your background real quick, and just kind of go into that.
Awesome. I'm glad to be here. And yes, Peyson did force me into real estate. I actually have a retail background of retail management for years. And then after that, I opened my own gym, and I owned a gym for about 10 years in Indio, which I love. I built it from the ground up. What both of those things taught me is how to work with people, how to grow a business, how to be intentional. I believe that is a lot of my success today in starting real estate. I did hit the ground running. I think my first year in real estate, I had over 35 closed or close to that in my first year. And yeah, this has already been a busy year for me as well. I do primarily use social media for my lead generation. I really focus on that. I get referrals from other agents out of state. I also get a lot of just clients, people who reach out to me and say, hey, we see you're in that area. We would love to talk to you about a property. So I definitely, have used it to my benefit.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people probably are listening that would probably, really like this are probably moms or, women that are getting started in real estate or maybe reestablishing themselves, kind of like what you did when, I told you to get your license 2 years ago and you're like, I don't want to go and restart a whole new thing. What would you say to those people that are starting a whole new thing or trying to figure out being, a mom while being also in real estate and obviously still being able to sell houses?
I would say do it anyway. Do it scared. Do it. The part for me was I didn't want to take another test. I remember telling you that. I'm like, I don't want to take another test. I'd taken my NASM certification for fitness quite a few years ago, and it was a big one. And the real estate is a big test. I did pass it the first time for real estate. So my encouragement to you is just do it. Don't be scared and dive in head first. I think the thing that made me successful was I didn't sit there and ask questions. I just went for it and figured it out as I went. You have to just have that attitude, of just, how to talk to people and juggling as a mom and a career. It's all possible. It really is. It's just learning how to structure your time and really reaching out to a team. I think being part of the team of what you've created, Peyson, has helped me. Being able to lean on other agents, on Peyson, that was a huge help in the beginning. So when you start, make sure to surround yourself with great people because that makes a difference as well, especially if you're busy.
Absolutely. Now, I know a lot of like moms in particular, and a lot of women typically do better and with social media, with Instagram. It seems like it just is a common thing, but a lot of them are lost in figuring out what they should be posting on a daily basis. What type of stuff should they be doing? So, do you want to describe a little bit of like what your Instagram is like, and what you do? Because you don't do the traditional, like I go film a home tour and then put the whole like listing description essentially in the caption. You do something a little different.
I really try to make my Instagram relatable. So I started that with my gym many years ago. I built my gym off of social media. So the same way that I'm building my real estate business, I had to make a decision when I got into real estate what I was going to do with my Instagram. If I was going to continue to use the path that I had used for the gym or if I was going to rebrand myself. I went ahead and kept my same page and branded it for real estate. But I really try to focus on posts that people can relate to. I do post just solds. I do post in escrows, but I do post them, like you said, a little different. I really think about telling a story with them with my captions. I talk about what makes that property unique to me, to my buyers, to my sellers. And I also still incorporate some fun stuff in there. I incorporate reels, I incorporate some lives, I do a lot of talking in the car when I'm driving to an appointment, things that people can relate to me. And that is one thing when I run into people in public who know me from my social media, they tend to feel like they know me personally, even if they don't. And that's because I've made them my friend. I've really tried to connect through social media, and I've really focused. I'm in the high desert area mainly, so I have focused on branding myself for that area. I even am known for wearing my cowboy boots. That's just something that people now know me for. So I think it's good to find your area and then focus on that. People try to do too much on social media, and I think you really have to find what works for you and then go for it.
Yeah. Now, one thing you've done too that I think is a little different, and I want you to talk about it, is what you've done with you have a lot of different, more like lifestyle pictures that you tend to post, and that's how you've
I
grown
do.
an audience. So, talk a little bit about that, like how you decided to do that, what, like how that system, essentially works, and how you continually do that because you always have those pictures going up.
Right. I partnered with a great photographer. She's local to my area. Her name is Amber Lynn, and she actually did do my photography for my gym as well. So my suggestion is find somebody in your area and partner with them. I, in a sense, pay her like a monthly amount. And then she does photos for me. I choose where they're at. A lot of times I focus on a property that I've just listed. Sometimes it'll be an area of the city that I love too. I've done Palm Springs, I've done Old Town La Quinta recently. But I'll focus on something and have her take photos of me in that area. I then, of course, use them to post, and I keep them like a whole bunch stored and ready in my phone. So I'm ready to post at any time. So if it's one of those days where I don't have a lot to post, I can pull out one of those lifestyle photos and do a post about the area, about the house, about the listing. I have a lot of unique properties that I list, which I love. So they're fun. I've done one with a red clawfoot tub outside, that's up in Joshua Tree. It had a converted school bus. So, of course, if it's a property like that, we do the photo shoot there, because it helps me, one, sell that property for my client, but it also helps me personally give me great content for my page. So, I
Yeah.
do think it's important to do lifestyle photos and not just create a page that people want to see, that they find it interesting and gives them insight, whether it be to local areas or to homes.
How often would you say you're posting a regular post, and then like how often are you posting stories?
So I post stories daily, and all my stories will be if I'm showing a house, I'll do a quick clip through the house, nothing long, just it'll say showings in Indio or showings in Joshua Tree. And I've had people reach out to me off of those and say, hey, I want to see that house. So always post that kind of content. Even if you think it's boring, it's not. So somebody else wants to see it. The other thing is I do post a reel, probably 3 to 4 reels a week. But I do post daily regardless. So whether it be a post with just a picture, a carousel, a reel, every day I do a main post and then I post stories, both. So the consistency is key with Instagram. So, or with any social media for that matter. You can't post here and there and expect it to work. And I have a lot of people tell me that. They'll be like, oh, social media doesn't work for me. And I relate that to fitness too. It's just like fitness. If you go to the gym once a week, it's not going to work for you. Consistency is key in both. And I really do relate them together all the time.
Yeah. Now, you got off to a really hot start with one client, and that one client turned into a string of a ton of transactions now because of how you treated that client. And then because of how I mean, you can tell the story real briefly. But I think a lot of people should hear that because I think that's goes to say why your business has grown so much is the way you treat the clients throughout the transaction and how you've been able to drive so many referrals through other transactions, which has spread your business like a weed. And a lot of agents don't catch on to that in their first few years. And they just close and move on to the next, close and move on to the next. So they're constantly chasing that new client versus you're not ever chasing clients with how you've done stuff. So talk about that
Right.
story of that first closing and like what it's transpired into over the last couple of years.
Okay. So the very first one I had was a lead that Peyson actually had given me because he couldn't make the appointment that day. It was up in Yucca Valley by my house, and great people from LA. We looked at 3 houses that day, and the main house they loved was across the street from a house with a ton of cars, like 17 actually to be exact, that was parked in their front yard. And they made a comment about, well, we really love the house, but we don't really love all those cars across the street. And we're not sure it works for us. And I was like, okay. I'm like, well, let's go look at these other two and we'll circle back. So we looked at the other two and I said, let's go back to that house and walk through it again. Mind you, this was my very first transaction. I had no idea what I was doing other than I knew to be relational and I knew how to help and love on people. So we get back to the house and the guy was outside actually on with one of his cars that he was working on. And I looked at my clients and I said, let's go over and meet him. I said, let's just go introduce ourselves. I said, won't hurt anything. And they were like, oh, okay. So we went over, we met him, found out he's lived in that area his entire life. He looks out for the entire neighborhood. He's a Lincoln mechanic, nicest guy ever. And when we got done, my client looked at me and said, wow, that's a really nice neighbor. I would love to be across the street from him. And they no longer were looking at the cars. So when I talked to the actual seller of the house on the day that we were doing our final walkthrough, she looked at me and she said, she lives in LA, and she said, I don't know how you did that. We've had so many people come through the house and that was a roadblock every time. And I told her how I did it. And we did finished our walkthrough. I handed her my business card. Her agent on that house was actually out of area, so he wasn't there. And I just said, hey, if you ever need anything, I'm here. Thanks so much for letting us come through. And I left. The next morning at 6 a.m., she called me and she said, hey, I have another listing for you in Joshua Tree that I want you to sell. I need somebody local. And so we chatted about it and we got it on the market. And I think I sold it in like 19 days. And it had been on the market previously for like 8 or 9 months. And I sold it for more than it was previously listed for. Well, in turn, I went to meet with her that day and met her friend. And her friend was awesome and loved me and has since given me multiple properties, which I actually just closed one yesterday with her friend. And we're talking probably 9 or 10 transactions have come out of this in the last year and a half. And my referral business is big. When I say this, I mean it with all my heart. I truly love on people. I will take care of them through the whole transactions. I will do what I have to do. I mean, I checked on those people with that first one the other day because there were turtles in the backyard. And I literally checked on them last week and said, hey, I just want to check on the turtles. How's everybody doing? And he said, oh, we inherited another one because the neighbor found one and brought it to us.
That's
So
hilarious.
it is hilarious. And it's been an ongoing thing with those turtles. So, I think it's just really getting to know people. Actually, she commented on a skirt that day, too, of mine, the wife did, that she loved that I was wearing. And I said, oh, I got it at, Anthropology on El Paseo in Palm Desert. The next time I met with them, I had purchased her the skirt and brought it to her in a gift bag. And she was shocked. She's like, you bought me the skirt? And I'm like, why not? They were on clearance. Like, I saw it and was there. But it's those types of things that let people know that it's more than just a transaction to me. It's a friendship, you know?
I think that's yeah. I think it's about building a friendship. It's about building a community, which I think is what you've done
Mm-hmm.
really well. And I think that's what you pulled from obviously building the gym was the community piece. Talk more about that, like using the community piece to drive more people together. Because again, like you have tons of people that reach out to you constantly. You're a new agent, but people are already reaching out to you like you've been doing this for 10 to 20 years. So talk more about like how you've used, the community piece and like it's obviously it ties in with Instagram and Facebook. It ties in with the little things like this, that, buying the skirt or the tortoises or walking across the street to the neighbor. But talk more about that.
Community is huge. And I built my gym that way, like you said, Payson. I plugged into the community. I got to know people. I became more than just a gym because we all know that with gyms, people come and go, right? People didn't come and go from my gym. The memberships that I had, they were there with me the entire time that I owned the gym until I sold it. And I think that that's the same thing with houses and with selling anything. It's it's getting to know people, building that relationship, and letting them know that I'm always here for them, no matter what it is. It doesn't need to be a house related issue. It doesn't need to be that you need me to sell or help you with a property. I have people reach out to me still that I've sold houses to that are like, hey, I need somebody for this, a house cleaner. And it's been a year and a half and they're still checking with me. And that's what I want. I want them to know that they can always come back to me. And like I said, I don't cold call. I don't go out and look for leads. I do get calls on a weekly basis that are referrals from people or friends of mine or people who I haven't talked to in maybe 5 or 6 years that reach out to me. But because they've seen me consistently on social media, because they know that I take care of my clients, they're reaching out to me when they think of somebody. And that's important to me. So I think it is building that. A lot of agents, I feel like they just don't do that. And I think that it's probably one of the biggest things in my success is building that relationship in the community.
Now, what would you say to someone, because you had a decent little following on Facebook, and you had a decent following on Instagram when you got into this, and it was all, like you said, the community that you built up over the years. What would you say to someone that's trying to build that local community on Instagram or on Facebook or on TikTok? What should they be doing, or what should they be trying to tie in, so that way they can obviously grow that or start pulling, clients from it?
Consistency. Be consistent in your posts. I talked to a gentleman the other day who's another agent, and he's like, I'm slow. This is my slowest year I've had. How are you doing this right now? And I'm like, you're not going to want to hear my answer. And I'm like, it's social media. And he's like, oh, it doesn't work for me. And I'm like, it does work for you. I'm like, but you have to be consistent. You have to be intentional. And I think that so many people, and it's just like fitness, and I hate to continue to put that back to that, but it is. People start and it doesn't work right away and they quit. And you can't have that mindset. So let's go back to my boot camp days. When I first started my gym, I started boot camps in a park. I would show up every Saturday at 7 a.m., whether I had one person or I had 10 people show up. And there were weeks that I had 0 people show up. But guess who was there at that park? I was. And so people knew that. They knew I would be consistent. They knew that rain or shine, I would be there, and they could count on me, right? And it's just like open houses, Payson. You might have open houses that have nobody there, right? But if you have nobody that comes through today or tomorrow, and then you decide, oh, forget it, I'm not going to sit them anymore. Well, that's not going to work. But if you sit them consistently every day, or even every other day, or a few days a week, you're going to start seeing people. You're going to start getting leads. People start, and then because it doesn't happen instantly, and we want instant in life, right? They just stop. So with social media, it's the same thing. You need to be posting every day. You need to be, I don't care if your reel gets 2 likes on it. Keep posting. Don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. And if you need help with content, reach out to somebody. Reach out to somebody who can mentor you or help you. I know people can reach out to me through my Instagram. I'm always happy to help. We did just create that Instagram guide that I, kind of helping people. And that's in my bio on my Instagram, my website is. But I'm always happy to help partner with people, and even on our own team, we've done quite a few different workshops and things. I feel like if it's something that you're not strong in, find somebody who is. And get closer to them. I always believe that too. You want to be successful, hang out with successful people, and you want to be great at sales, hang out with salespeople. You want to be great. It's whatever you want to do. You want to be in better shape, hang out with people who are fitness minded. If you hang out with somebody sitting on a couch every day, eating fast food, you're not probably going to get into the shape you want because you're going to start doing what they're doing. So whatever you want to do more of and be more consistent in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what would you say now, what have you felt like your last 2 years have been like? Obviously, I dragged you into this. Is this something that you've enjoyed?
It's been crazy. I was not expecting to. I think I have like 9 listings right now. I have a listing appointment this afternoon. I have, multiple in escrow right now. I'm busy. I'm crazy busy. And I love it. I thrive on busy. I thrive on chaos, actually. So the busier I am, the happier I am. That's just my personality. But it was definitely different than what I expected. I did not expect to hop in and, I think it was in my first month that I had that escrow, and then that rolled into multiple escrows. I want to say I had in my first couple months, I think I had 3 escrows closed in my first few months. So it was a little faster than I expected it to be. But again, I didn't go at it with the attitude of, I've got to sell this house. I went at it with, I want to help this person. I want to help them find what they need. I want to help them relocate from LA to Yucca and have their dream property and their dream home with their tortoises in the backyard. I want to be that person, and I work a lot with people who are relocating from out of area. I do a lot of people I actually helped people yesterday that were from Germany and they're buying a second home in the high desert. And I love that. I love getting to know people's story. And I think that people can tell that when I'm talking to them. It's taken off and been much busier than I expected, but I think it's because I've made so many friends along the way.
Yeah, no, I think so for sure. Because there's a lot of things that I think a lot of agents don't do. And I think it's because they're so transactionally minded. They're so have to get this to the finish table for the check. And I think that you come at it from a completely different approach. And I think that's why your business has grown so much over the last 2 years, because most agents, their first 2 years, they suck. My first 2 years weren't the best. I sold houses, but I wasn't as near as consistent or as near as busy as you are. And I think it's a lot of what you've had to do with how you treat the client throughout the transaction that's really changed it for you. And I think it goes to show with how busy you've become.
Right. Definitely. I definitely think it's my mindset and and my gym, like I said, was the same way. I mean, you can go back to me selling vans. I managed stores for vans and had some of the highest producing. Palm Desert wasn't supposed to produce a lot. It's a store that's very seasonal. It's hot out here during the summer, and it did amazing. And I got to go meet Van Doren and go to the corporate and do all of that. Even if they were buying a pair of tennis shoes from me, I got to know them. I got to know their story. And I think that I can tell any new agent starting, make it about getting to know people, love on people, be there for people. I mean, in my first year and a half, Peyson will tell you, I've bought a refrigerator for a client. I have paid for septics and termites. I will always do what I can to help make the transaction work, and because at the end of the day, it's about taking care of my client.
Yeah. Now, if you had 3 things that you could recommend to agents that are struggling out there right now, what would those 3 things be?
Get your social media going. That would be number 1. Post every day. Go out there and have conversations with everyone. I mean, I got pulled over by CHP last week, and by the end of the ticket, which he did not write me on, but by the end, I handed him my business card and told him that I would love to help him out with any future stuff that he needs with real estate. So there is always an opportunity, guys, to be telling people what you do. And if you don't tell people what you do, they don't know. I mean, I don't sit down at a restaurant where I don't end up telling the server at some point what I do, And so I would say really just don't be afraid to talk to people, because that's going to be a really huge thing in being successful as well. And then, be relational, love on people, get in the community, go do community events, go be part of everything. Because if you're sitting at home just waiting for the phone to ring, it's not going to happen. You have to get out there. You have to make it happen. So I've always been this way. I love people. I love, hanging out with people. It doesn't mean that I don't love my quiet time too. And believe me, now in real estate and how busy I am, there are times that I just want to unwind and zone out. But when I'm out and I'm doing things, I make sure that people know, hey, I'm a real estate agent. I'm a realtor. I would love to help you out if you ever have any questions. Not, hey, I want to sell you a house. I just want to be there for you to answer questions.
Is there anything else you'd recommend to agents, especially maybe the moms or the women out there that are trying to break in right now?
Go do it. Don't be scared. Partner with somebody, find a mentor, find somebody who has done it that you can look up to that can help you, and just do it. Do it scared, do it anyway. And I've always said that about fitness too. People think, oh, well, when I get to this point, I'll go do this. And I even see that with agents who are new. It's, oh, well, once I do this, I'll do that. No, just do it. Just do it. I think that's part of my success is I jump first and ask questions later. And Peyson knows that. And I think that that's why I have been successful, is that I haven't waited to figure it out. I figured it out as I went. I again surrounded myself with Peyson and other people, other agents that I knew, hey, if I had a question, I have fallback people. But stop putting that roadblock in front of you and stop allowing it to rule you. Just go out and do it. And finding a good mentor. I mean, finding somebody that you can plug into in trainings and all of that. I still relate that to my success as well, Peyson, is I joined a great team. They have a lot of trainings. They have a lot of help. I was not on my own. I don't know how you could even do real estate on your own. Even Peyson says that in the beginning. You start and you have your test tells you nothing. It tells you nothing really. It really, you have to be hands-on. And once you dive in and you're doing RPAs and you're doing RRs, you need that team of people around you that you can call. So find a good team to plug into that has great trainings. That's really important. People ask me all the time, like, why are you part of a team? You could do this on your own. And I'm like, I could do it on my own, but I'm not that stupid. Why would I do that? Why, when I have the support, why, when I have all that I have that I'm offered from my team and I'm being the successful, why would I change that? Right? So I think so many people think, oh, well, I could make more money or this or that. And I will always tell you, a piece of the pie is better than no pie at all. And that is probably the next part to my success. I would rather have a piece of that pie than no pie. And a lot of people are like, I want it all or nothing. And you can't have that mindset.
No, you can't. Where can people find you? What's the best place if an agent wants to reach out to you, shoot you a question? What's the best place for them to do that?
Instagram is probably the best. And my Instagram handle is Ashley_Nicole_Homes. So Ashley Nicole Homes. And I will gladly respond, help you, be part of your journey. I love inspiring and helping people. I still am very prevalent in my fitness industry as well because of that. I love to help people. So that's a great way. And we can set up a time or a call or a time to talk. I would love to be able to chat and help other moms and other people out there. I'm almost 50 years old, guys. I'm reaching 47. And, I did not want to start a new career at this late in the game, and I'm so glad I did. I'm so thankful that my son pushed me.
Also, I'll do it because my mom won't. She has her own website. And if you guys did want to ever schedule a call, if you guys needed help or anything, she does have her own website where you can just go in and book a call with her, which is pretty cool. Because she was sending everyone to just our team website, which was not helping her in any way with any buyers or sellers or anything. So we made her own customized website. So you guys can go check that out too on her link in her bio. And I'll make sure to drop her Instagram handle with the link into the YouTube description so that you guys can click it super easily from there. But I just wanted to thank you so much. I know you're busy. I know you got to run around like crazy today. So we'll wrap it up here. But I really appreciate it, Mo.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course.